Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a happy glass of milk. There's a little milk inside, sweet little cup, very adorable, and cookies. And of course, with Christmas right around the corner, Santa needs his milk and cookies when he comes to visit your house. So I thought that this would be super adorable. I hope that you agree, so cute. The bands in this, the cup is $291 if you make the whole thing the same color. There are a couple portions that you could make separate so that it's kind of like a little accent at the top here, just so you could kind of reduce the total bands. But they're $291 in the cup. The milk inside is $50. This is white milk, but you could do like chocolate milk, strawberry milk, banana milk. I think there's even, is it mint? So it's green milk. We have that at St. Patty's Day around that time. So you have all those. Then you have the face. I use 9mm pony beads, but you can use 2 wrapped bands per eye. Then there's the cheeks and the mouth. And then there are the cookies. The kind of the cookie portion is 60 bands. These are mango bands. You could use a lot of different colors. And then there are 9 chocolate chips on the cookies. So you could make like a chocolate cookie with white chocolate chips, or use rainbow chips, or I mean there's so many different color possibilities that you can use. I'll point out when we get to this portion up here on the cup that you could change if you wanted to, but we'll get started. I'll do the cup first and then we'll do the cookies at the end. There isn't a whole lot of prep work. It's just that for your cookies, each cookie takes 9 wrapped bands, and then you have to make the face parts for the glass. So for the glass, I'm going to use the 9mm pony beads. If you don't have those, you can use 2 bands, whatever color you want your eye to be, on the hook, double it, grab all the bands, double it again, and then pull through 2 bands that are going to be the color of your cup or glass. Like so. So you need 2 eyes, however you're going to do those. And then we have our cheeks. So whatever color you want the cheek to be, on the hook, wrapped around. Then you take both, wrap them around again, and pull through 2 bands that are the color of your glass. Like that. So 2 cheeks. And then the cookies are 1 band, whatever color you want the chip to be, on the hook, wrap it around, grab both bands, wrap it around again, and then pull through 2 bands that are the color of your cookie. So for these, you need to have 9 of these total for each cookie that you make. So once you have all that stuff, then we can get started. We'll need the loom, wrong end towards us, and we're going to start in the center, and we have to actually make the milk portion first because it's connected on the inside, and how it's put on so that it looks like this at the end is kind of annoying because it has to be done first and then it's on the loom for quite a long time, so we kind of loom around it as we go later on. So kind of, we're going to have a lot of bands on the pins, but it's not too horrible, hopefully. So this time around, I'm going to make chocolate milk for my cup. So we're going to start in the center, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right around the 7th pin up. We're going to make a starburst. Everything's double banded. So just starting from the center, go out to the 6 pins around. Like that. Center pin, tap band 3 times around. So 1, 2, and 3. Then you go in through your cap band, grab the top 2 bands wherever they are, and not the top 2. Alright, back towards itself. And then you go around doing that to each one out to the 6 pins around. I don't know why I always have so much trouble when I have the top one first. I just can't ever grab those pins or the bands very well. And I always forget when I start a new one. So like that. Push everything down. Then we'll do a row around. 2 bands still. Like that. Then we'll flip the bottom 4 on all the pins. Push everything down. Now we want to expand. So what we're going to do is start over here on the right side. For this top right, I can pick up the top 2 bands and bring them up a pin, and there's no crossing. This band goes to here, this band on this pin comes down to here. But for this lower one, we can't just pick up the top 2 bands because it'll cross. We don't want that. So when that happens, you have to pick up all 4 bands, bring them out to where you want to expand to, and then bring the top 2 back. Then we'll go over to the other side. This top one up here, we have to pick up all 4, bring them out a pin, then bring the top 2 back. Then the lower pin, grab the top 2, bring them down. Then for our centers, just grab the top 2 bands, lift them up, and whatever side they're coming from, you'll bring them to that side, up above. Same thing for the center one here. Coming from the left, so I'll take it to the left, and the other will go to the right. Now we're going to do a row around this. 2 bands. We always leave out milk and cookies for Santa every year. Sometimes they get pretty elaborate, and other times we need to, like a few years we've done like some Oreos and Chips Ahoy because we didn't have time to do any baking, and other years it's sugar cookies and molasses and gingerbread. So like this. And this time around we're going to be flipping the bottom 2 bands on every pin. So we'll be leaving 4 on. Like that. So push that down. So now what we're going to do is we need to puff all these out, and you have the option of right here, right in this area, there are the bands that go around. You can kind of see it's a little bit thicker right there. In that portion is where when we bring this up and over to put the milk on, it shows up on the outside. So if you don't want a kind of accent color on your cup, make it the same color that the rest of your cup is going to be. Otherwise, you could change the color of these to like I'm going to be doing a maroon cup. So I could add like a little white border right here if I wanted to, or do something different right here. But it does show up on the outside, so whatever color you puff these with, either make it your cup color or make it a little accent color. But this is where it shows up right here. But also on the inside though, when we puff, those bands that show up on the outside, they're right here on this little edge for a V. So when you put it up, you can see a little portion on the inside that connects the milk to the outside of the cup. So just kind of keep that in mind. I don't know if it'll look the way you want it to when you're done, if that shows on the inside or not. So I just want to point that out. But you can change the color of these to a different color than your cup, or you can leave it the same and then it won't show. I'm just going to do it the same. But we take 2 bands, you take your hook, go through the 4 bands that are on your pins, hook those 2 bands in your hand, pull them up through, put both ends on your hook, pull the bands off the pin that are on there, and then put the ones on your hook back onto the pin. So like that, we've essentially changed the color from brown to the, I guess, fuchsia on the pin. And we'll do that for all of them. So it's just putting your hook through, all the bands on the pin, pull up the new color bands, both ends on your hook, take the old color off, put the new color on. Do that all the way around. And of course, we always remember to put out carrots for Santa's reindeer. Kids always enjoy waking up in the morning and seeing that they've been eaten, most of them. I think this weekend we're gonna start our Christmas cookies. It's usually quite the endeavor to make quite a bit of them and then freeze them, and like sugar cookies, frozen. Awesome. Make them all, and there's a lot of them that we have to put in the freezer so they get hard before you can bake them, and then there's decorating and the frosting, and quite the production. But it's adorable. I love it. The kids have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun. My wrist will be super sore for about 2 weeks from piping frosting, but totally worth it. I'm just loosening the bands here in the center, but then you want to push this down as far as it can go on the pins, because these bands that are on here now are going to be kind of on the, they're going to be on the loom for the remainder portion of making the cup pretty much. So you want to make sure they're pushed down as far as they can go, and we're going to basically ignore these, this whole piece that we built already. We're going to ignore this until almost the end. So we'll get started with the next portion. So now we're starting with the cup, and we work from this side down. So they're doing the bottom of the cup right now. So your cup color. And again, we're going to start in the center right on top of what we did before, which we're ignoring now, and we're going to make a starburst again with the cup color. This time I'm not going to end it on that top pin. And just push everything down. It's definitely squishier right here when we do the starburst with the center piece, but once we've expanded out to the outside, it gets better. So starburst, center pin gets that cap band again. 2 bands wrapped around 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. Then you go in through that cap band, grab the top 2 bands, pull them out towards themselves, and you'll do that all the way around. It still gives me trouble. Just that one. Alright. So starburst on top. Every once in a while, every couple rows, or every row would probably be better, check to make sure that you haven't connected this top portion that we're making now to the bottom portion that's underneath. So once you have this, we're going to do a row around our little starburst here. Like that. So now when we flip for this one, it's going to look like this on the sides. We're ignoring those bottom 4 bands, which are a part of that piece that we built before, so we're not going to do anything with these ones. They just stay there. What we're going to flip is that middle 4 bands right here. And then we have the top 4 bands that we'll leave there. So find that middle 4 bands to flip, and then you can kind of look in there and see how they're separated. You just want to make sure that that stays that way. So let's go around and grab that middle 4 and flip them over. This is a little bit more time consuming, but it turns out adorable. So on the ends here, just grab that bottom 4, flip them over. And once you get a few rows in with the flipping the extra part, then it seems like there's kind of a better divide between the bottom and the top. So that'll help too. Or if you can get your bands to go like that, it'd be even more awesome. Alright, so again, make sure that the 2 layers aren't connected. Oh yes. Yeah, if you can get your bands like this, that'll be very helpful too. Separate it down. Alright, so now what you want to do is we're going to expand again. So we're just working on the 6 pins. Same thing as before. Top right here. Grab the top 2 bands, lift them up, and bring them up 1. Then come down to this bottom right. Pick up all 4 bands, bring them down a pin, and then bring the top 2 back. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Well, not quite the same thing. Pick up all 4 bands on this top left. Bring them up. Bring the top 2 back down. Then the lower left, grab the top 2, bring them down. And then the center ones, again, grab the top 2 and just take them to the side that they're coming from. Same thing up here. Grab the top 2, take them to the side they're coming from, and the other one goes to the other side where it's coming from too. So now you should have your 4 on the bottom that we're ignoring, that I keep pointing out. Sorry about that, but it's important. And then you'll have 2 bands on the pins up above. So push this down a little bit, make room for more bands. We'll do a row all the way around with 2 bands. I don't know if you guys do baking, but I think this year we'll do peanut butter blossoms, which are the peanut butter cups with the stars, chocolate stars in them. And then we'll do sugar cookies, decorated of course, gingerbread cookies, So like this. And then when we flip, we're only going to be flipping the middle 2 bands right here from where we did that expanding. So find those middle 2. And bring those over. Leaving the bottom 4. And then you'll have 4 on the top too. I'd probably do round gingerbread cookies that have been rolled out, and then decorate those. And then we'll do gingerbread men and ladies. So once you're there, push everything down. And now we need to do 3 more rows all the way around, just like this one. So 2 bands and go around. And then we'll do maybe molasses cookies with sugar on top, or frosting. I haven't decided yet. Delicious. And then of course the kids want the chocolate covered pretzels. And I think they want to do those pretzels that have like the squares, pretzels, lattice or waffle pretzels. So like this. Flip the middle 4 this time around up over the top 4, leaving that bottom 4. Put those waffle pretzels that you put a Hershey Kiss on, and then you put them in the oven for a few minutes, and then you take them out and you squish an M&M into the top. They love those, of course. They go pretty quickly. We usually do like peanut butter M&Ms are delicious on top. And sometimes we'll do like the caramel Hershey Kisses. They get a little bit messier then, but if you're careful, they're pretty tasty. I really do apologize for that furnace. I don't know what's going on with it. It'll probably break on us in the middle of winter. Which has not come yet to us. We had snow the other day and I was like, alright, it's finally coming. As most of you know, I live in Wisconsin. We're supposed to have snow. Lots of snow. It's what we do during the winter time. But we haven't had any. It's raining. Lots and lots of rain. Our river here in town is actually at flood stage again, which is crazy. Alright, so that was 1 row. Push everything down. Do our second row all the way around. Same thing. We built the little tiny, Grace and I built the little tiny snowman the other day before he got on the bus, and it's all melted now. All the snow we got the other day is gone. It's just lots and lots of rain. And a lot of people are like, oh, but it's awesome, we haven't had any snow yet, and this is great. And I'm like, yeah, but it's raining. It's muddy and wet, and you walk outside and you get wet if it's raining, and then you're covered in mud. And I'm like, I would rather have snow any day, because once it's here, and or while it's coming, it's kind of annoying because it's dangerous. But so like this, again, flip that middle 4 all the way around. But, you know, then you have to shovel it or snow blow it, or you know, the roads are yucky. But once it's here, and you don't, you know, like the major thing about after snow's here, it's cold. That's the biggest thing. It's like, it's cold. That's really all you're thinking about with the rain. It's muddy and it's wet and you can't go outside and do anything. And because it's still just as cold. We're still like right around freezing, but it's not quite cold enough to turn into snow. So it's still, I think it's more miserable this way. I just want to bring on the snow because I need a white Christmas. It always makes me sad when we don't have a white Christmas. And I think the kids are, the youngest two especially, they're old enough now to understand what snow is, so they're just like, they were screaming and running around the house and freaking out when we got the snow the other day. They were just like, oh my god, it's snowing, it's snowing, it's snowing, Mommy, come look, come look, come look. So they are waiting for the snow. So like that, that's our second row. We'll do our third row all the way around. And then my oldest son, he loves the snow. Well, he doesn't love shoveling the snow because we do have some shoveling that needs to be done every year. And he's kind of funny because he doesn't like shoveling the snow, but he's always the first one to volunteer to do it because he knows that we'll pay something for them to shovel the snow if they want to do it. And so he's always the first to volunteer, but then then he'll complain about it. So like that. We'll do that middle 4. But I suppose that's a teenager's right. I'm sure I did the same thing. And of course, my middle son, he loves the snow just because he can do forts and snowballs, and I think this year he wants to try his hand at doing the snow decorating with the different colored water. We'll see how that goes. I think we're hoping we get enough snow this year to do another nice massive snow fort, but we shall see. Or even just needs to start freezing so we can make some snow blocks, which we can't do until it freezes. Alright, so then you want to push everything down. Then you want to check again, make sure that you're still nice and separated in there. And it's pretty easy to see the difference between what would be your milk layer and the bottom of your cup. But now we want to put our mouth on. So whatever color you want the mouth to be, you want a band. I'm going to turn this so that the right side is up here. Put the band on my hook, wrap it around, and then grab both those bands. Take it off and hold it that way. Then I'll take my hook and I'm going to put it through the top 4 bands. Hook my mouth band, both pieces of it, pull it up through, up over the top of the pin, then bring it down. So now it's wrapped around the pin, in between the bottom 2 and the top, or the bottom 4 and the top 4. And then we'll go to the next pin over on the right. Grab that band again, pull it up through, then up over the top of the pin, and then pull it down. So I'll wrap it around the center on 2 pins. And then once you're here, you flip it up over both pins. So it looks like that. Now our next row will be our cheek row. So push everything down. I'm actually going to unstick this some. Smush everything in on the ends first. I'm going to bring up the center. Like that. A little better. Not quite as squishy on the sides now. So, cheek row. You want the cheeks? Start down here. Go up. And then right here is going to be our first cheek. Next space is 2 bands. Then the next one is our other cheek. And then 2 bands are on the rest. And of course the youngest 2, they haven't really They have an understanding what snow is, but they're still not quite like all the awesome things we can do in it. Like sledding, skiing, snowmobiling. I think my son wants to go ice fishing this year. Sounds really cold to me. So like that. Flip those middle 4 bands again. And then the hubby, he's not particularly fond of snow. I'm not sure why, because he always says it's because he was born in Florida. But realistically, he was born in Florida and only lived there for like 2 or so years. And then his family moved up north. So I'm not really sure if he can like claim that as being like that he's only a warm weather person. I mean, he's also of Polish and German descent, so he's not exactly like coming from warm countries either, so I'm not really sure what his claim is, but he's kind of, he likes winter, but he doesn't like winter, doesn't like the cold. I'm not sure why he didn't move away years ago. I guess it's because he's with me, and I like the winter. So then push everything down. Next is going to be our eye row. So you want your eyes, either the wrapped bands or your beads. Start with the 2 bands. 2 bands. Then an eye will go here. Like so. And then 2 bands in the center, and our other eye. And 2 bands around the rest. But I love skiing and sledding. It's kind of, I alternate on years what I end up enjoying. It's also tubing, which is pretty fun too. So like that. Again, flip that middle 4. I skied pretty heavily for a few years, and then I kind of twisted my knee, so that was no good for a while it healed. So that took me out of skiing for a couple years, and then I did like sledding and tubing, and it's horrible, but we were sledding down the hill, and the kids were going, and it's a pretty large hill, and my oldest was going down, and I'm not sure why or how, but he ended up stopping kind of like right in the track area. So I'm coming down behind him, and I basically run him over with my sled. And then, because I was trying to also move out of his way, I ended up twisting I hit him still, unfortunately, and then I careened off and I ran into a tree, which was awesome and hilarious. I was ribbed about it for a very long time, but that was kind of the start of some of my back issues, so that was no fun. So like this. So then once we've done the eye row, we're going to do another row all the way around with the 2 bands. He was perfectly fine, of course. He laughed, and it's like, my mom's trying to run me over. Nice job. I think he got my sarcastic wit a little bit, but I suppose because I'm old, my injury into the tree, which wouldn't have been as horrible when I was younger. You know, I'm not that old, but I'm not 16 anymore, unfortunately. Or, yes, he was. He was only 11 at the time. Just like that, row all the way around. So what you're going to do is flip that middle 4 again, up over the top. He's not 16 yet either. He wishes he was, because then he could drive. The other day we had Taco John's for supper. A nice treat for, I guess we don't eat out a whole lot, but he had that, and now like every night for supper he's been like, we should eat at Taco John's. And I'm like, oh yeah? I think we should probably eat what I made for supper. It's like, yeah. He's like, just wait till I get my car and then I can drive there and pick up food for you guys, whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah. He'll be like, I'm gonna go get some food, and then 4 hours later you come back. He's like, well yeah, but I'll bring back the food. Alright, so once you've got that done, now we're ready to flip over this bottom portion. And I had us do it separate because that way, if you use a different color here, when you flip it over, they should all be nicely aligned, kind of right in the same spot. So now we can go grab those bottom 4 bands finally and flip them up over the top. And you can do that on all the pins, all the way around. He's very excited about the idea of driving, which I know I was too when I was his age. But growing up, I also was in a much more rural setting where it wasn't a whole lot of traffic. And I could go and drive out on country roads, kind of get used to driving on different terrain and gravel to pavement to twists and turns and stuff without worrying about other cars being in my way or traffic signals. Alright, so once you're there, we need to push everything down again. We're going to do a row all the way around, 2 bands. That was like the most awesome thing in the world when I turned 16, to be able to drive on my own. We had this, my mom had her nice car, and then of course we had this old beater car that was like a giant boat. So like this. Now we can flip the bottom 4. Cookies, stay. I think it was an Oldsmobile, big old thing. She loved it because it was from like the 70s, kind of when she was tooling around on her own, I suppose. She thought it was great. I thought it was horrible. But it was a car, so it didn't really matter. But I'd drive that thing around, and back when there were only crank windows in vehicles and tape decks. Making myself sound really ancient here, but I'm not. Push all this stuff towards the center. And I'm also going to take my hook, poke it down through here in the center, find that center cap band of the milk, and just pull on that to loosen it up off the pins. And it should really be most of what you need to do to loosen it up off the pins inside, but you can kind of poke your hook around in there to see if there's any more pieces that are stuck on there too much, but it shouldn't be too bad. So push everything down. So now this is where you could change the color of your cup as well, and this little portion right here, not that, right there. This little portion right here could be an edge to your cup. It would be a separate color. The way it's put on here doesn't combine with the other piece, so it's like added on extra to support the edge of the cup. So if you want to do this part separate, you can. And that is going to be, I don't know why I just put those back, I needed them. What we're going to do is go around and we're going to do an X row. So it's still the 2 bands, but when we put them on, we're going to twist them like that. And same thing all the way around. Put them on and twist them. Doesn't really matter which way you twist them, they just need to be twisted. I used to ski a lot in high school too. We lived pretty close to a mountain, I guess you want to call it. And it had quite a few fun adventures. I know when I very first started skiing there, I went down the wrong trail a couple times because you weren't familiar with the map layout, and going down some trails, not a good idea. So like that, you have the X row all the way around, and you want to push that down because right on top of this, we're going to take 2 bands and do a row right on top. I did tell you we wouldn't have those pins loose for very long, or not full of bands. But we're almost done with this cup, so that'll be awesome. This row would also be the other color if you wanted to have that separate color on the top of your cup. I don't think I ever went down like the double black diamonds by mistake, but I know that I went down some like mogul hills when I first started skiing. That's a bad idea because you don't really have control over your speed or your turning ability, and it's just kind of like, it was horrible, scary. I did run into a tree doing that, or skiing as well. So like that. So then what you're going to do is you have that row we just put on, right here. We have the row from before, the bottom 4. Then you'll have the middle row, which are our crossed bands. And then you have that top row we just put on. We're going to take those crossed bands, the middle 4, and flip those up over the top. And you'll do that all the way around. Trying not to knock your bands off. I think I actually hit 2 trees skiing. Me and trees, we're just not friends sometimes. At least they're nicer to me than they are my cousin Aaron. I think I told you guys once before, we went sledding down this hill, and it was, we didn't know that they had cut down some of the trees in the fall before, and so we're sledding down there, and they left the little stumps from the trees they cut down because I suppose they're too tiny to bother with taking out. So we're sledding and sledding, and eventually we kind of wear down the path, and he takes a turn going down the hill, and he managed to basically slice the sled in half, and then he broke his tailbone from hitting the tree stump, and that was not a pretty thing. He was pretty upset about that. And then I think my younger brother was like, "You broke my sled." He was all upset about that, and I'm like, yeah, I think there's bigger issues here. Then of course all the parents come running out of the house. What's going on? Why is there screaming? Oh, the fun. Alright, so once you have those all flipped over, we now need to kind of move the edge of this so that it will hold the outside of the cup correctly. And to do that, you need to go in through the top 4 bands, grab the bottom 4 bands, bring them up through the top 4 bands, take those top 4 off the loom, and then the ones that are on your hook will go back into that spot. And you're going to do that on every pin all the way around. In through the top 4, grab the bottom 4, pull them up through, slide off the bands on the pin, and then the ones that are on your hook go back onto the pin. And just make sure you get all 4 bands back onto the pin before you take your hook out. But we'll do that all the way around, and then we have one more thing to do with the glass, and we are done with that. And the cookie does not take very much time at all, which is good. And I think you could probably make 2 or maybe 3 cookies at a time on the loom. I'll have to count again. I just made 2, so to start with. I'm going to have to make more for the kiddos. I wasn't really paying attention. I know I had enough space for 2, but I'm not sure if 3 will fit or not. I think so. I don't know if you guys want a little plate to go along with this, or if like you want to try and use the teacup saucer. I guess you'll have to let me know, or if you just want to use a little play plate, or maybe the granny square. You could make one of those up. The hook only one that I have on my channel. I have a little placemat for your cookies and milk. Be pretty cute. So once you've flipped all that over, we're ready to close this. And we're going to do it by kind of weaving the sides. So starting down here on the bottom right, I'm going to find the top 2. You may have to kind of twist the bands around because we just kind of jumbled them up when we were moving them. So maybe I'll do that first real quick a little bit. So we want to try and always go through the top 2 and pick up the bottom 2 to make sure that it closes properly. So starting down here, I'm going to go through the top 2 bands with my hook. You can kind of make sure they're the top 2 by picking it up and looking if you want to. It's not a huge deal if you get like a top and a bottom and then do it, but if you got 2 bottom and then pulled it over, it might not close properly. Or 2 top and then pulled it over, it might not close properly. So make sure you go through the top 2 bands, grab the bottom 2, pull them up, and then bring them over to the left. Then once you're there, just kind of look to see here. Make sure my bands are separated nicely. So now I'm going to go through the top 4 bands, and then grab the bottom 2, pull them up through, and bring them up a pin. We'll do the same thing up here. Go through the top 4, grab the bottom 2, pull them up through, and bring them up. Same thing. Through the top 4, grab the bottom 2, and just bring them around. You'll do that all the way around and stop where we started. It gets a little weird on this side for me to go backwards, but it's not too bad. If you missed any bands or you're missing a band, just try and always pull over 2 bands to the next pin, even if that means only leaving like 1 band on the pin before. then we stop right there. Then you can come back and pop off all the bands on the pin except for this one right here, because that's the open points. Like that. Then you'll stick your hook into the 2 open points that are left, bring them off, and peel this off the loom. Should be pretty much set to go. Let's close this first. So we have these 4 bands that are on our hook. There we go, like that. Do a slip knot. So pull these 2 that are closest to the hook through the other 2. And then if you kind of just fold this out, pull my, these little pieces are just from the weaving that we did to close it, and if you tug on them and reposition them, they'll kind of go away. But this little end that we have that's open, I'm just going to find a little piece inside here to put my hook through. Doesn't really matter where. I'll just take a band, pull it through everything on my hook, make a slip knot, pull tight, and then I'll come up and so I can hide that band. And then we'll just adjust the outside of the cup here. Squish that flat. Adorable. Turns out pretty awesome. And then if you change the color, should just be this little brim here that is a different color. Super cute. And nice little cups. Now for the cookie. I'll start it down here so that it's kind of, try to use as much loom space as possible. If you want to make multiple. At most we're working on these many pins, so if you want to try and make multiple, you could probably squeeze 4 or 3 on here if you wanted to try, but here's where we're working right now. First we're going to take a wrap band and we'll put it on to the top right here. So just be 1 band is a chocolate chip color. We'll put it to right here. Wrap it over and grab 2. Grab both of them. Wrap it over again. Like that. And now you want to take bands that are going to be the color of your cookie. You do this entire thing double wrapped, so, or double banded. So 2 bands, start over here on the left and cross over to the right, right on top of where we put that little wrapped band. And then right over top of that, lay another 2 bands. On these 2 pins up here, we need to have cap bands. So to be 2 bands, put them on and wrap them around 1 time. Do the same thing on the other side. 2 bands, wrap around 1 time. And then you'll go in through your cap band, grab the 2 cookie bands, pull those up through, back to the other side, then go the other side, grab those 2 bands, pull them back towards themselves. So you have a little X. Then you can take that chocolate chip band, pull that up over the top, like that. Then we're going to do a row around, and you guys can put your chocolate chips where I put them if you want to. If you want it to be similar to this when you're done, that's up to you. So I'm going to do 2 bands. Actually, we'll make this one a chocolate chip. Chocolate chip. 2 bands. 2 bands. And another chocolate chip. I like that. Flip the bottom 4. Push that down. Now we want to expand. So this top right corner, I'm going to pick up the top 2 bands, bring them towards the center. And then down here on the lower left, I'm going to pick up all 4 bands, bring them to the center, and then bring the top 2 back to the pin they were on. So now we are on 6 pins. So we'll do a row around this. I'll start right here with 2 normal bands, then I'll do chocolate chip, and another chocolate chip, then another one, and then 2 regular bands in the next 2 spots. Like that. Then we'll flip the bottom 4 on some of the pins, or the bottom 2 when we expanded, just so that you have 4 bands on the pin once you're done with this row. So there's 2 on the end here in the center, 2 right here, and then 4. You want to push that down. We're going to increase again. So starting up here at the top center, I'm going to grab the top 2 bands. They're coming from the left, so I'm going to take them over to the left. And the other 2 bands, I'm going to take over to the right. And then down here, we're going to increase these 2 pins right here. So on the right here, I'm going to pick up all 4 bands, bring them down a pin, and then bring the top 2 back. Then on the other side, I can pick up the top 2, bring them down, and then we want to take this center pin and just move it back a pin, like this. So once you're there, we'll do a row around this. More cookie. So we'll do regular band, wrapped band, regular, 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 regular. It's a lot of regular. Another wrapped band. And another wrapped band. So like that. Then we'll flip the bands. 2, 4. There's 2 here. 2 here. 4. 2. 2. 4. And 2. So we'll push everything down. So we're going to reduce a little bit. And this row I did not put any chocolate chips on, but it's kind of like right in here when we do the row. So if you want chocolate chips on the underside, or kind of right on the edge here, you can put some on this next row, but I did not. So for reducing, we're going to reduce this bottom center pin. So you pick up the top 2 bands. Mine are coming from the left, so they're going to come over to the opposite side on the right. and the other two will go to the left. And then we're going to reduce this pin right here, the third one up on the right. Pick up the top two. They're coming from above, so they're going to go below, and the other two will go above. Then the same pin on the other side. Pick up the top two, coming from below, so they'll go above, and then the other two will go below. Push that all down, and then we'll do a row around, regular, and then right here there's kind of a long stretch. Another long stretch right here, and then normal, so like that. So when we flip this time, there's going to be some reducing bands on some of the pins, so there'll be 2 bands, and then the regular normal normal 4 underneath that. Then here's reducing. I'm losing my voice. Excuse me. Here's 4. And here's reducing on this one. And then 4. Over on this side. Reducing. And 4. Reducing. And 4. And then reducing. And 4. So untuck the little bands from the pins here. You want to pull up the center, bring everything kind of in, unhook it from the ends, so it should kind of be nice and stuck on the center, like that. And now we're ready to take it off. So I'll put my hook in through one of these far ones. Put my hook in, take it off, go into the next far one, and then you kind of squish up towards the other ones, and then you go around, making sure that this stays popped up and not down. Although it might look alright flipped the other way, I don't know. But just go around till you get it all on your hook. And then holding right next to, hopefully, your metal hook down here, and you can kind of give it some little tugs. Then take a couple bands, pull it through everything on your hook. If you have a lot of bands on your hook, it's actually easier to pull it through little sections at a time, and then kind of reposition and pull it through the next little section, and keep doing that. And at the end, make a slip knot, nice and tight. Go in and grab your tail bands to hide, and then squish. Hide my tail bands again. Stay in there. You may have to find that center chocolate chip and pull it up. It likes to hide after you close it. There you go. Here he is. And you can rotate them. If you didn't put the bands on the way that I did, or maybe they kind of got a little touchy-feely next to each other, you can take your hook and either go in and kind of pull on them so that they're a little bit smaller and not quite so large. Squish. Just kind of pull them inside a little bit. Or you could just take a scissors and cut them off if they're too close together, or you just don't like the positioning of where it is. But generally, I think that if you just grab and make it a little bit smaller, pull some of that wrap band into the inside of the cookie, that will help to kind of reduce some of that being close or looking like it's too close. There we go. Much better. So sweet little cookie. Delicious. I hope that you enjoy this and that you make one for your Santa or just for fun, for play. I think they'd be a pretty good size for dolls too, so. But they're super adorable, I think. Who doesn't love cookies and milk? Well, I suppose depends, I guess, if you're lactose intolerant, you might not like milk, but then you get lactose milk. I want to thank you guys very much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. I will have more tutorials for you soon. I'm still posting kind of lots of different things that are fun, and hopefully you're enjoying. I know some people have been kind of confused with the 24 days of Christmas with my kids, but it's a lot of fun. A lot of things I give them are they're kind of kawaii in nature, or just kind of fun, cute things that maybe I wish that I had as a child, because you know, this is kind of all about having fun, and all the fun things a lot of it happened when you're a kid, so that's kind of what I get to do now, and I get to relive things through my children, which is awesome. But I'm just posting some of that stuff, and then other things that the kids love and enjoy, and hopefully you're enjoying those things as well. I know that they are really happy doing that, of course, so hopefully you will continue to enjoy them. And of course there will be more Rainbow Loom stuff. I won't stop. I know some people are worried about that, because if I post other videos of other crafts, or you know, my kids' videos, and they're like, oh my god, she's not going to do Rainbow Loom anymore. It's not true. I'm going to keep doing it. It's just a matter of, you know, I want to be able to expand the things that I share with you, because I think that that's kind of fun and more enjoyable to be diverse in the number of things that I'm sharing. So if you have ideas on things that you'd like to see, I mean, anything, you can put them in the comments below the video, so that I have suggestions of the things that I could look at. You know, I did the different product reviews, like the Doki Doki crate that I just did. That was really cute. Things like that. Maybe you've seen them and you don't want to try it out for yourself, but it kind of fit into fun and vibrant and colorful and kawaii-ness. You can always suggest that I check out something like that. Any kind of crafts. I'm pretty crafty. You'd be surprised all the different things that I've learned how to make over the years, which is the benefit of being older. There is one benefit. So, but definitely if you guys make some of these, share them with me on my Instagram, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook page, which is feelinspiffy or Crafting Fantastic. And then of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you see when I come out with new things. Lots of things are going to be coming out, you know, in the next few months. I have a lot of things planned that are going on, so hopefully you'll be here with me to share in those. So thanks again for watching, and I will have more things for you soon.